here with Daron Malakian and lots to discuss. But the first thing we have to discuss, Edmonton Oilers, man.
Oh.
I remember that you're a big Oilers fan.
Yep.
And I was like, fuck. So what happened?
When I saw that Florida picked up Marchand, I was like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And then, we lost Hyman.
That hurt.
That was a big player. But I mean, what are you gonna do, man? You know,
it's such a drag because obviously when Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup in 33 years.
I know.
So the last 2 years, by proxy, I become an Oiler fan because I'm just begging for Canada to win again. And even this year, the Jets finished number 1 in the league, and then they're gone so early. It was just it was so disappointing. I was so bummed out.
Yeah, and Canada loses, and Florida of all the places.
I know, and I live in Florida, so I should be happy. But I'm like, no, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. But like you said, that's the ups and downs of sports for sure.
I'd like to see McDavid win one, man. I mean,
yeah,
with the Oilers, I feel like he's eventually going to win one, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know where he's going to be.
And like Gretzky said on the panel afterwards, if you're replacing your goalie in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, you've got a problem.
Yeah. I remember when the Kings were in the finals, and Jonathan Quick was just on fire. I was at all those games, and every night Quick made a save that just saved the game, saved the series. Like, it's just a different. You can't be trading backup and your main guy in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's I mean, it is what it is, man. It's tough to be an Oilers fan, that's for sure.
And how did you end up an Oilers fan to begin with?
I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles.
Right.
I was born in Hollywood, grew up in Hollywood. But I was always into sports. And at some point when I was a kid, like 7 years old, 8 years old, I had my mom get me a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And it used to come in the mail. And in those days, we didn't have cable. We didn't have nothing. I never saw an Oilers game on TV, but I always read that, like, oh, these guys keep winning the cup. As a kid, you kind of gravitate to that team that's winning, and Gretzky and that whole team. So it's stuck. I cheer for the Kings too, but I'm an Oilers fan first.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's tough. It's a drag, but hopefully next year. That's what every
right. What are the chances? But we'll see. We'll see.
So lots of cool stuff going on for you. I think the last time we spoke was the last time you had a Scars on Broadway album. You've got a new one coming out very soon, and Addicted to Violence. And I just watched the Killing Spree video. Great tune, man. It's got the system vibe, but it's more rocking. I don't know. It's very, very cool, especially with you on lead vocals.
That's how I when people compare Scars to System, you're going to hear the System DNA in there. I mean, I wrote a lot of that, if not, a lot, a huge 95% of the System stuff, vocals included. I mean, I wrote vocals, guitars, arrangements in System. But the way I explain the Scars kind of leans more into a rock direction. And it always kind of has. And I don't know if that's because my writing kind of went into that direction. I don't know if we continued to do System. Would System have gone into more of a rock direction? But it's just, that's how at that point when I did the first Scars record, second Scars, or this one, I don't know. It's just, like you just said, it kind of has that rock vibe to it. But, it's got... My shit's got all kinds of shit going on.
Well, like you said, you're the principal songwriter of the system stuff. So when you're doing a Scars, it's going to have that style, very off tempo, not off tempo, but the beat in Killing Spree. I mean, it's frantic. It's got that weirdness to it in the best possible way. By the way.
I'll take that.
When did you decide to do a third Scars record? Because it's been a while, like we said, since the second one.
I don't know. I don't know when I really decided to do it. It was I started recording like around the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and just I don't know. I never really pick like these songs are good. I write songs. I don't really write albums.
Mm-hmm.
And through the years, I write all these songs, and at some point, I feel like I think you've played around with this enough to where you feel like it's good. I think it's time to release it. And I just kind of roll the, wheel and see where the thing lands. Okay, let's record that one, and
Right.
because sometimes people want to be like, there's a theme to this album, and maybe there is, but the theme might be just me in my life and how the world that I'm living in. I don't really write albums with themes and say I'm going to write these like 5 or 6, 7 group of songs and they're all going to have this theme to it. So they just, whatever I write through the years at some point ends up on an album. And yeah, I don't know when I decided to make an album or not. I mean, like so many years have gone since I started recording it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really remember what I was thinking.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, obviously with System not recording new material, and as a songwriter, you got to keep writing. That's just what we do. So I'm sure that you have always a multitude of different ideas that you kind of keep in mind for either Scars or whatever it may be.
I would be writing if there was no system, and if I didn't get to where I got in my life with music, I would still be writing. I would still be playing. It's just something that I do. It's something that I've done since I was really young. So it's just something. If it wasn't there, something would be missing. It's my outlet. It's kind of
Right.
how I kind of channel my thoughts and put something out, or the universe put something through me and I put it back out. I mean, it's just something that's always been there. I've collected records. I love listening to music is a big deal to me. I started collecting records when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So it's just music's just always been there, and I'm very blessed that I've been able to get some recognition and make a living and have a fan base and all that stuff. But that's all just kind of like a bonus, when I'm just like, I'm grateful for it. But when I'm writing my song, the last thing that goes into my head is like, what's everyone else going to think about it? Or I can't wait till everyone hears this. I kind of just do it for my own amusement. It's like my toy that I play with, and it's a total bonus that like turned into whatever it turned into. The live shows are a bonus. People actually giving a shit about it. Me here talking to you about it. I mean, these are all, I'd be doing it regardless.
When you do a Scars record, do you have other musicians in the band, or do you play everything?
On the second record, I played everything, the Dictator album. On this one, there's a drummer and another. I played most of the bass and the guitar, but then there were some bass lines that I felt like my guitar player Orbel played better than me. So I was like, "You do that song because you're just a better guitar player than me in general." But and then some keyboards that are on the records, Orbel did that, and I also, for the first time, collaborated with my guitar player Orbel on writing 2 or 3 songs. So that's also a first for Scars.
Well, that's great to be able to collaborate with different musicians as well.
Yeah, well, someone shows me an idea and I hear it and I'm like, oh. Some of the stuff that he showed me were not songs yet. It was like some synthesizer line or some keyboard thing, and I listened to it and I was like, we got to make that into a song. And that's my thing, is I write songs. I compose songs.
Mhm.
I'm not some guitar virtuoso. I always tell people I don't even care about the guitar. I care about, it's a tool that I use to write songs. Songwriting, composing for me comes first before any instrument. So if
Right.
there's someone I'm with and it seemed to work out, like where we can collaborate and make that song, make their idea into a song, that's what I come in and do. I think that's my strength in a band situation.
Mhm. Well, that's something from, the era where System got massive. There wasn't a lot of guitar solos in those songs. It was all about the songwriting and the riff, and like you said, the complex 4-minute arrangement.
There were when they felt like they should be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Not obligatory though, right?
Yeah. Well, I think in the 80s you had to have a guitar solo.
Mhm.
Now, I can solo, but I don't, if the song, I give what the song wants.
Right.
The song is like a crying baby, and
Mhm.
you don't give the crying baby what you want it to. You give the crying baby what it wants to give, and it stops crying. And so I give the song what the song wants, not what I want to force it in to the song.
But that's also part of being a great songwriter. Like you said, all that matters is the song itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Not the moment in the song where I get to show off what I do.
yeah.
The song itself is me showing off what I do because I wrote the song.
Right. Yeah, you came up with the melodies and the chorus and everything. But that's even something that I learned over the years. When we first started Fozzy, I'm the singer, so I have to write the lyrics because that's how it works. And then after a while, you realize you don't have to worry. Like, doesn't matter who writes what part, and it just matters on how good the song is.
Yeah,
That's all that counts.
It matters that it's great. I mean, in Rush,
Yeah.
Neil Peart wrote all the lyrics in Rush.
Yeah.
Geezer wrote a lot of the lyrics in Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
With System, Serge and I shared lyrics. Like he would write lyrics, I would write lyrics. So when you hear a System song, it's both of our lyrics. Sometimes in one song, it's both. But in Scars, I wrote all the lyrics in Scars.
Right. You mentioned collecting records when you were 3 or 4 years old. What were some of those records that you had as a little kid?
The first Kiss record that I had was, and I kind of took it from someone else's house, and it just stayed with me. It wasn't even a Kiss. It was Paul Stanley's solo.
Okay, yeah.
And I think Ace and Paul had the best solo of the two.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then I had a Saturday Night Fever record that I also took from somebody's. I stole all my first but the first album that I took my mom to the store and she bought me was, and I was probably around 6 or 7 at this point, was Def Leppard's Pyromania.
Mm.
And that was really big around 1982, 83.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first one, and it just went from there, man. I mean, yeah, I just was always into it, man. It was just something that I can't remember a time in my life. My earliest recollections are of Kiss and Ozzy, and it's always been in my life. It's always been important to me, really important to me, and it's just always been there.
What made you start to play guitar? Was it the infamous Kiss influence, or?
No, because my parents wouldn't. I always wanted to be a drummer when I was a kid, but we lived in this 1-bedroom apartment in Hollywood, and I shared the same bedroom with my parents till I was like 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I could never have an instrument or have a drum. It would just be too loud to have an instrument in a 1-bedroom apartment off Santa Monica and Vine. Yeah, we weren't, I didn't come from money. But we eventually moved to the suburbs in Glendale, California, and finally I had my own room. We had a garage, and it was like my 12th birthday, and I took my parents and we went to the music store, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna I'm gonna get my drum set. I've always wanted my drum set. And my parents went to the corner and they talked to each other and they said, you know, you can't turn off the drums. So they went and bought me this tiny amp with a guitar. And I was like, all right, okay. I wasn't like that amped about it. That's why I always tell people I don't really care about the guitar. I accidentally became a guitar player. Yeah. And like that, man, I just, next thing you know, I just, spent a lot of time. I was in my own bedroom now. And so I would spend a lot of time and I would just sit there and I would, learn riffs off. I never had a lesson. I would learn the riffs off like, Sabbath or whatever. I was a Slayer, Metallica, whatever I was getting into as I was getting older, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And next thing you know, I'm playing guitar. But just even in those years, though, I was always trying to like write my own shit.
Right.
It kind of worked out because I don't know, the drums, because my passion is songwriting. So the drums would probably be a little bit more difficult to bring out melodies and types of things.
You must have listened to so many different types of music when you were growing up, though, because the System sound and Scars as well. There's so many different genres and styles. Sometimes in the course of a 4-minute song, you'll hear 5 or 6 or 7 different influences of musical styles.
I grew up around a lot of different kinds of music. I still listen to everything and anything from the Beach Boys to black metal to Miles Davis to Kraftwerk. It's just all over the board what my taste is. Growing up, I'm Armenian. So growing up, there was a lot of Armenian music. My family's from Iraq. So we listened to, I heard a lot of like, Arabic music, Egyptian music. Then there was the music that was in the Armenian church, Armenian Orthodox church, that they would sing these church types of songs. All this affected me, along with being extremely obsessed with heavy metal. But then I told you Saturday Night Fever was something, so I had cousins that never listened to rock, but they were all about disco and pop music. So I was exposed to that, and I just, whatever was good, man, whatever I felt, I never like put a rule on, oh, you can't listen to this and you got to just be this. And, music is music, man. I mean,
right.
and it's just different people present it in a different way. But your notes on the guitar, your notes on a piano, your notes on they're all the same fucking notes.
Right.
It's just the chords, but it's just how you present it, how you it's like a chef, like you got a piece of beef. And the guy who's making Mexican food is making the Mexican food, and it tastes like Mexican for the Italian guys. It's all this comes from the same cow,
Right. That's the best analogy for music I think I've ever heard. I always thought it was interesting too when System first came out, and you mentioned being from Armenia. I think all 4 of the guys in the band are Armenian. Was there a whole scene? Did you guys all live close to each other in LA? Was it kind of little Armenia?
I'm not from Armenia, but my background is Armenian.
That's what I mean, Armenian background. Yeah.
Well, in Los Angeles, there's a big Armenian community. Outside of Armenia, Los Angeles is the biggest Armenian community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So all my friends that I grew up with were always Armenian. When I was from kindergarten to 6th grade, I went to Armenian school. And Serge, Shavo, and I all went to that same school, but we were at different ages, so we weren't really friends, but we all went to that school. And it was later on, after I left that school and I was in high school, that I kind of met somebody else that was kind of still hanging with them. And I it's a long story, but I kind of reconnected with some of those people from that school later on. And I mean, it's just it's just you can't avoid Armenian people if you live in LA or in Israel, you know. It's
Is there any other big bands with an Armenian background? Rock bands?
no,
You're the only ones, right? Yeah.
no. I mean, when I was growing up, I always told people that's another thing. It's crazy. My life's crazy in that way where I always told people when I was like 11, 12, any age you met me, I was like, one day I'm going to start a band and I'm going to like be on the Sunset Strip and we're going to be this big band on the Sunset Strip. And one day that's what I'm going to do with my life. That's, you know, and they would all look at me and say, yeah, but what, you know, what Armenian guy ever made it in music and, you know, in a rock band? And I said, just watch. You know, I was so cocky and confident.
Yeah.
And you just watch, you know? And I always thought, okay, I'm going to make it someday, but like, I'll be probably the only Armenian guy in the band. You know, I never thought I would make it with 3 other Armenian guys. So we're definitely, there's, you know, certain pride also that's involved with that, with, you know, our Armenian people are very proud of us, and we've never shied away from saying we're Armenian and these kinds of things, changing our last names or, you know. Yeah.
That kind of made it even more unique though, because all you guys' names are different, you know, different from the norm.
Yeah, but people, even when we were, aside from the story I just told, even whenever we were really big band on the Sunset Strip. I mean, we were probably the biggest band on the Sunset Strip when we like were playing there. We got signed. We had the biggest audiences.
Really?
For a second, people didn't want to sign us because they thought, okay, these guys do well in LA, but who's gonna get them in like Texas?
Right.
Places where they don't even know what Armenians are. And so bands that weren't drawing as much as we were getting signed quicker than we were. Until, you know, our hype got so big that, like, you know, then there was a bidding war at some point, back when, you know, labels actually meant anything.
That's really interesting though, Daron, talking about being big on the Sunset Strip, because obviously we hear the stories from the 70s and 80s, but I'm assuming this is probably kind of in the early to mid 90s. What was the scene like then? Because the heyday of the Sunset Strip had kind of passed at that point.
Well, you had the hair metal bands in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And then Seattle came and wiped that out. But as a kid, I was always like driving by all those hair metal, you know, Whiskey, Roxy, when all the hair metal bands and the scene was just booming. But then Seattle killed that off. But then a group of us, I guess the bands that they call new metal, which we came up in, but I always feel like we just don't sound like any of those bands.
Yeah.
We came up in that. And to me, that's the scene that kind of revived LA. And that, till this day, I think that was really the last like rock metal scene that wasn't, because after that everything kind of died out again.
Right.
But there were bands like Coal Chamber, Static X, even though the Deftones weren't from LA, but I'm sure they came down and played LA a lot. Korn, Incubus was part of that back in those days. So there was just, you know, a group of, and there was many more. Snot. I don't know if you know about Snot. They were there. We played a lot of shows with Snot in those days. So yeah, man, we came up in that scene, and that was a really fun time, man, in LA and in my life, but just as like a rock scene and a metal scene, nothing's happened in LA since, to be honest.
You're right. That was kind of the last vestiges of that, right?
Yeah.
I remember when System came out, I mean, very early on in my first record, you guys got a really big push on MTV. Obviously you're on Ozzfest. I mean, did you realize that at the time that you guys really made you made it fairly big right out of the gate with System of a Down?
we I don't know if we made it right out of the gate, but we had this slow upward, thing. The first album, there was a lot of underground hype. Whoever was interested in that kind of thing was giving us attention. We got on tour with Slayer in the United States, and our first tour in Europe was with Slayer. And we just got up there and did our thing. And sometimes the Slayer audiences didn't get what we were doing on the first record, and we were all makeuped out, and we just, we looked like we were like just completely different, and our sound was different. And I would heckle the Slayer audience if they didn't yell Slayer before we played. You know that I'm a wrestling fan, so I get some of my stage presence from, because someone asked me that in South America recently. They were like, you have this way on stage where you're kind of a certain way with the fans, and I turn to them, I go, I love wrestling. I get it from that way. Just getting the crowd hyped, or just being on the mic, because I'm
almost playing
guy,
a character.
I'm that guy in between songs. I'm the guy who's talking to the audience, so I'm the guy who's getting audience hype. I'm the guy, and this is a thing where I always tell people, like, even with wrestling, where you could be a great wrestler, and this, but you're not necessarily, that doesn't mean you're going to be great on the mic.
Right.
Being great on the mic is not something you can teach somebody, I don't think. It's just something that they got.
Right.
So that's what I'm the guy that kind of has that in the band, so that I kind of do that, but I always attribute it to because I love wrestling since I was a fucking kid, man.
Yeah.
So,
but that's kind of you're playing the character on stage, like you said, of being the MC for the band.
Yeah, but it's not a character. It's this alter ego that just kind of flips on. When tell me, well, you're really different off stage and you're on stage, and I go, just something happens to me when I get up there, and it just, I turn into a much more confident version of myself, and yeah, it just, once I get out there, this guy comes out. And he's very different than me in this version of me,
But those are the best type of frontmen. I mean, you talk about Ozzy or Alice Cooper or somebody like that. When they go on stage, they become this other character, this other persona, like you mentioned, and that's kind of what people are so excited to see.
I mean, don't you feel that when you go into the ring? And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I see that with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not something you could necessarily teach somebody. It's just, you could teach someone how to wrestle. You could teach someone how to play the guitar. You could teach the technical stuff, but the feeling and that stuff that just is in somebody, you can't really teach that.
You're right. You're right. What was it like being on Ozzfest fairly early on in your career?
Dude, I was, like I said, when I was a kid, loving all that shit.
Yeah.
And now all the dudes that were like on my wall in my room, I'm around. And it was in this, Ozzfest was like this summer camp that you used to go to. And you'd see, I remember Mickey D was playing for Motorhead at that time. And I remember one time I sat there and was having lunch, and Mickey D was, I don't know if he remembers this. I mean, I haven't seen him for years, but like, I remember this, and I was just kind of like, dude, I'm a huge King Diamond fan. And you played that intro for King Diamond, like Them, the song Them, and it's just, and I was like, dude, you don't know what that means to me, and you know what I mean? It's so nice.
Right.
It's so nice to be able to say that to somebody that you were such a fan of, and get a chance to let them know that, like, dude, you really meant a lot to me. Or we would tour with Slayer. Then you'd be in the room with Ozzy. When I was 6, 7 years old, Ozzy would like come into my dreams and having dinner with my parents. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, I'm in the room with Ozzy and Zach Wild, and I was just like tripping, you know. I still trip when I haven't gotten over that.
Mhm.
It's still a trip to be around when I am. It's a trip for me to still be around people like that. It's I don't know. And then you get these fans that now like they treat me like that, and that's even a bigger fucking trip. Damn, dude, like this guy looks at me the way I look at that guy. You know, I appreciate it, man. I really do. I'm very blessed. Very, very blessed.
That's a good way to be, though, man. It's good to stay and have that fanboy mentality. I mean, it's good for us to still be fans of people that we admire.
Yeah, I am. I'm a fan of yours, bro.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk about Chop Suey. I always say, like, if I brought this song to a radio, a radio programmer, they'd be like, this is the weirdest song ever. Like, there's no way we're gonna play it. Chop Suey it's so unconventional in so many different ways, and it becomes just a massive hit. You know, to this day, rock radio plays it constantly. Talk about writing that song, because once again, it's very unorthodox with the whole structure of it.
Let me start by saying one thing. I think it was Rick Rubin that took the song to the whoever the head of K-Rock radio was in LA at that time. And he turned around and told him that K-Rock will never play this song. This has no chance. Will never play on K-Rock. So that's a funny story in itself. But I don't know, man. When I write songs, I can't sit there and say, well, how I planned this out or whatever. I was sitting in back of the I don't know if we were still in an RV or we were on a bus at that point, touring for the first album. And I had a guitar, and I remember being in the back of the bus or wherever I was, and just jamming the guitar. And I wrote the intro and I wrote the riffs for Chop Suey, and then, you know, the vocals kind of go with the riff, like wake up. But I had different lyrics. My lyrics used to sing, wake up, tell me what you think about tomorrow. Is there gonna be a pain and sorrow? Tell me what you think about it. And it was this different lyric. And then but I wrote the chorus lyrics. And so it all just kind of led into each other in a natural way and kind of came out of me that way. I know people see it as kind of like, oh, there's these different parts, but shit just kind of spits out of me that way sometimes, man. And parts that don't necessarily come from the same worlds just come from me, so they sound like they belong all of a sudden together. And so, yeah, when I took the song into the band when we were writing for Toxicity record, I brought it in, you know, with the whole arrangement that I had, and Serge changed the lyrics to wake up, grab a brush, put a little makeup. Till this day, I don't really know what that means or what he's singing. But it didn't change the song for me. So I was like, I wasn't stuck to my lyrics, but the chorus lyrics stayed what I wrote: self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die. Yeah, and it became our biggest song. I mean, you know, when you write a song, you don't expect, well, this is going to be the hit, or, you know, it just turned out that way. MTV started playing the video, and next thing you know, I'm, you know, walking through the mall and people are like, hey, there's the guy. And then, you know, your whole life changes, man.
How did Chop Suey become the title of that?
It was originally called Suicide. And if you listen to Toxicity, the album, before the song starts, I think Serge says, we're rolling suicide. And that's not on the radio, but if you listen to the record, right before Chop Suey, it says rolling suicide. That means, you know, we're rolling. We were recording onto tape at that time.
Right,
We're rolling Suicide. So somewhere down the line, when we decided that it wasn't, we were going to release this as a single, we talked about it, and we're like, I don't know, would the radio play a song called Suicide? And so I don't know, pretty soon, right away, I was like, okay, fuck it, call it Chop Suey. And the reason, even though it has Suey in it, that wasn't my thought. My thought was, remember in the old movies from like the 40s, the gangsters were like, we're gonna kill him and turn him into Chop Suey, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I was like, Chop Suey, like, you know, it's like the old 40s movies. And that's how it became Chop Suey.
That's amazing. And did they ever play it on K-Rock?
They till this day, you know, I mean, they played it and played it and played it until they just played it too much. But, you know, I'm proud of the song because we've never done anything for mainstream, like to conform to the mainstream. Like, we want to do this because this is what everyone else is doing, and this is what the radio's playing. And we did everything our way. We and the mainstream came to us because we built such a big buzz off the first record, and then Toxicity came out, and I feel like I wrote these songs and I feel like we delivered with a really strong second record. And it just, you know, just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed to the point where the radio, the MTV, the whatever was, you know, making bands at that time, couldn't avoid us. You know?
Right. Because, it's interesting too, because when you put out Mesmerize and Hypnotize so close together, I think it was 6 months or whatever it was. And then the band kind of took a hiatus after that. Did you put so many ideas into these two records at the same time? Was it kind of a little bit of an overload? You needed a chance to step back for a bit?
Well, Mesmerize and Hypnotize were written at the same time.
Right.
I just wrote, I write a lot. So for Toxicity, I brought in like 20, 30 songs. That's why you have Steal This Album. Steal This Album was Toxicity sessions that we didn't release.
Oh, okay.
And they got out there in some way, but not in the way we wanted them. So we went in and re-recorded songs that didn't get on the Chop Suey record, but we made them better, and we made Steal This Album. But those were from Toxicity and Steal This Album were both from the same recording session, and that's because I wrote so many songs, and I always like to bring in a lot of songs to choose from, so we choose the best, you know. So Mesmerize and Hypnotize, once again, I just brought in a lot of songs to one album session, to one recording session, and we still have leftover songs from those sessions that are, you know, still haven't been used or released. But we didn't walk into it thinking we're going to make a double album.
Right.
But I just, like I said, it just comes from me bringing in a lot of songs.
Is it seem crazy to you 20 years later now that that was the last System record was Hypnotize?
What's crazy to me is people still give a shit, and we're like we just came from South America, and we sold out every football stadium that was there. I don't know if you've seen any of the footage from that, but it's fucking nuts.
It's insane.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Fires in the crowd. And
yeah, it was. I'd been doing this a while, and I never experienced anything like that before. And we're about to do East Coast shows, and it was just, the band's playing stadiums, and we haven't released a record in 20 plus years. It's kind of, Rick was talking to me about, when I did Rick's podcast, we talked about like how we're playing in front of 60,000 people, and he was like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, where a band that doesn't regularly put out records is still. I think part of it is we left off on a peak. Kind of, we've had, are they going to ever play? Are they not going to play? And it's all this kind of thing that happens. And then when we do play, people feel like, oh, this might be the last time they're going to play. So, and it's not, none of that has been done on purpose. That's just the natural way things have gone. And, we're just, I also think it's the songs. I think people, the songs have lived with people, and it's become some of the fabric of their lives in some cases, because so many years have gone by. Because when we're playing in front of these audiences, I don't see 50-year-olds in there. I see 18-year-olds. I see 25-year-olds, all like kids that probably were born maybe even after we released Rise and Hypnotize, but they're there and they're passionate and they're into it, and it's new to them, when and it's once again, man, it's very, very blessed.
I was reading something that you said recently about, and I thought it was very interesting, about somebody had asked you if System would do another record, and you were saying it'd be very hard because the transition that a band would naturally have from, your sound moves and changes over the years, it'd be hard to pick up in 2025 without having those albums in between to lead you to the next level. I thought that was a very interesting comment.
Well, we could do it, and it might even be good. I don't know, but if you listen to even those 5 records that we have, you listen to the first album, to Toxicity, there is a difference between them.
Yeah.
There was an evolution happening. And if I have to say like one thing that, the hiatus was something that I wasn't always down with, that hiatus, but whatever, it is what it is. Every band has a different story. There was a time I was a little bit more pissed off about it. Now I kind of like, it is what it is. But what I was pissed off about was that we didn't get a chance to continue that evolution, moving to where, because I think we were capable of that. I think you got some bands that make the same album over and over and over again. We would not have been that band. We would have kept our sound, but that sound would have gone into different places. So that's my only regret, that we didn't get a chance to do that. And so that's why I said what I said, that like, making an album 20, 25 years later, where do you pick up from?
Yeah. No, that's a great comment. Yeah. I thought that was very interesting. You were mentioning, doing the shows you just played in South America, and then the upcoming dates that you have in August 6 and September 6 stadium shows, all sold out. Does it blow your mind that, System was never playing stadiums back in those days, and here you are now, one of the biggest bands in the world from a live standpoint? It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. It's we walk in front of these audiences, and I'm blown away. I appreciate it. I think it's something that's tough to explain. How I feel about that. It's cool. I don't know. But,
there's our headline. It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, and it's just, I'm lucky to be in a band like that. It's
do you think it's because the band was gone for such a long time, and like you mentioned, people think, well, this might be the last chance we ever get to see them? Do you think that's part of the appeal? Or, I mean, of course, if we knew the answer, we could put it in a bottle and sell it, but it just blows my mind in the best possible way that you have so many people coming to your gigs.
I think that has, like I said, I think that has something to do with it. I think the band is also, you're not going to get System of a Down from anywhere else. You're not going to get, like, I have a certain style of writing. Serge is a certain type of frontman. I'm a certain type of singer myself. You know, we both have a style that complements it. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it's what we do. And if you like it, I mean, some people really love it and some people fucking hate it. You know? But it's us. And if you really love it and that experience at the concert or our songs, and I'll even say, you know, Scars still has that vibe. Like, if that's the vibe you're into, you know,
it does. Yeah.
You're just, I don't know where else you're gonna get it.
Right.
You know, it does have something unique about it, I think, that is kind of different than your I think we go through a lot of different kind of, like with my writing, I try really not to like use only like 3 colors, you know, like, oh, this album, sometimes I hear bands and they just have these same kind of, everything moves the same way in the same formula. I mean, with me, I'm not afraid to use humor. I'm not afraid to use sadness. I'm not afraid to use anger. I'm not afraid. It's all part of what we are, who we are as humans. So if I kind of say, well, I can't express that side of my emotion because that's not heavy metal, I don't do that with my writing. So whenever you go to our show, System or Scars, you're gonna feel moments in that show that are going to make you dance, that are going to make you pit, that are going to make you emotional, that are going to make you sad, that are going to make you laugh. I don't mind making people laugh, you know, and I don't think there's that many bands that do that or pull it off.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, when we talked about Killing Spree, it has that sound to it that only you can create, being, you know, the writer of all these great tunes. So it's still there.
Riffs like this heavy riff, but I'm singing it very cartoon like.
Yeah.
You know, pow wow, row row, these kinds of things. And it's just all me. It's all my personality. It's all my character. It's all me coming out in the song. And I'm not trying to say, well, you sound stupid doing that. No, I want, sometimes stupid is fucking good. Sometimes stupid fucking works.
As we start to wind down, playing stadiums, how do you like that? Because once again, there's a different way to play a stadium than there is playing an arena, than there is playing a club.
You don't have the same. The stadium is like you're in awe. You know, you're just in awe of this. Like, what the fuck am I in front of here? And then, like, there's this, like, you know, I'm on the mic and I'm just like, you know, and I get this response, and there's like, it's like this power. I don't know. And you have them like in the palm of your hands, and you're just, you know, it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling that, like, I'm very aware that not very many people get to experience.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
And then, you know, on a smaller place, and I'm very lucky because Scars plays smaller places,
Sure.
plays stadiums, but I really love the smaller places. It's intimate. You get to see the last person up there, or that you're very close to the first person up there. They're both different, but I give it the same energy when I go out there. But it's just one is just, you're standing in front of the ocean, man, like, when you know, and the power of the ocean is in front of you, and the waves are like just, you know, coming back at you, and, you know, but it's also nice to go to the lake.
I always noticed doing stadiums that the sound travels up because it's open air, so it's never quite as loud as you might think it might be. as it would be when there's a rooftop. That's the biggest thing I noticed for sure.
Yeah, vocals kind of travel in a kind of way in a state, like this natural reverby thing that happens.
Yeah. Last few things, man. You mentioned being a big wrestling fan. You're wearing the timeless Toni Storm shirt. Who are you into watching these days? Which wrestlers are you excited about?
Well, I watch both WWE and AEW. I think there's good stuff happening in both. I love her character. I think she plays it well. I think it's unique. That's why I'm repping her right now. You know, when I bought this shirt is when she went through the transition where she forgot who she was.
Right.
And then she was like that for a couple of weeks. And so I was like, well, what are they doing with this? I go, because Toni Storm, that character was just so original, so unique. And then that day that what's the other girl's name? She was that's the girl she had the rivalry with.
Oh, Mariah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was walking out of the ring, and then on the mic, she turned around and she says, "You think I forgot who I am?" and I got like goosebumps, bro. I was like, yes. And I went online and I bought this T-shirt. I was like, I am now a fan.
That's great, man.
But her character is great. You know, you guys have some really good guys at AEW, man. Swerve, MJF obviously goes without mention. You know, it's I think the wrestling is like at a high quality wrestlers that, you know, Ospreay and, you know, a lot of good guys that are in AEW, and I watch both. I like Gunther in WWE. It's always hard to remember, like, off the top of my head.
You got some good ones though. I mean, Gunther's very hard hitting. He's exciting to watch as well.
I like what they've done with Chad Gable with the Lucha.
Yeah, the El Gran Americano.
I think that's funny. I think that's cool. So yeah, man. I mean, I watch a lot of wrestling. My girl will tell you, like, I enjoy it. I always have. It's this, because I love sports, but wrestling to me brings art and sport together in a way, because you create this character and that's art, and then but what they're doing is athletic, and there's nothing else in the world like it. There's just nothing else in the world like it. Like it's this kind of weird thing that it's just wrestling is wrestling, and it's this world that mixes reality with not reality, and I don't know. It's always been something that's I've been into all the time since I was a kid. Saturday morning wrestling. I remember my favorite wrestler of all time is George the Animal Steel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it's just like you believed it. Like he was. That's why I like her, because she plays it well.
Yeah, it's such a deep, complex character, but like you said, that's the most important thing in wrestling is the characters by far.
Do you come up with because you've reinvented your character? I mean, you're always Chris Jericho, but you're a different version of Chris Jericho all the time,
right?
Do you have to like go through people to get their approval on that, or maybe it's different in WWE than it is in AEW?
Yeah.
Would she be able to do Timeless Toni Storm in WWE?
I don't think so, because AEW probably owns the rights to the character just by proxy of the fact that, you know, she did it on that show, like intellectual property, they might call it. But yeah, most of the time it's for me, I just know when it's time to try something new. In WWE, it was a little bit more. Maybe you'd have to run it past Vince or work with Vince, but in AEW, you just do it. So it's like nobody knows how to play a System of a Down or a Scars on Broadway riff better than you, so no one's going to tell you really what to do. Same thing. No one knows how to play Chris Jericho better than I do, so I kind of know when it's time to switch things up and try something new or pull something back or push something forward. It's kind of becomes instinct after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, honestly, it's not easy to always reinvent and be interesting. And so
well, a lot of that comes from Bowie. I know you're a Bowie fan as well, so I always loved how he changed his persona every album. But it was like you mentioned, it was still always David Bowie, but just different inflections and characters or musical styles or whatever it was.
You've been able to do that.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Last few things, Scars on Broadway. The record comes out July 18th, I think it is. We'll get it right.
My birthday.
Happy birthday to a great present. Are you going to go do more shows with Scars, or kind of what's your overall plan?
There's a plan to do shows, no tours so far, but I'd like to get on some festivals to start with and see where it goes from there. Scars kind of like System is kind of like we play and then we don't play, we play, we don't play. I put an album out every like 5 years. So it's kind of like that where, we did some shows in September. We did Aftershock Festival. We headlined the second stage, great response. Korn had an anniversary show in LA. We did that with them. And once again, it amazes me that Scars, because I don't go out there and promote Scars much, but when we do play, there are people there that really are into those Scars records that trips me out just as much as how System plays the 60,000s, and it's kind of like, whoa, they actually care, because I'm thinking 100 kids are going to show up for Scars and like a few thousand do, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, they actually give a shit. And it's a good feeling, man. It's good because I don't always walk around with like, hey, I'm for sure they're gonna show up kind of vibe in my head. I'm very like, does anyone give a shit?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so it's really cool when they do.
Last question for you. What's your favorite song to play live when you do the System shows?
Ooh.
Because you guys play so long. It's like 30, 35 songs on a set.
One of the ones that I've always loved playing is one off the first record called Suggestions. I always love playing that song. It's I don't know. It's one of my favorites to play live.
It's great, man. Well, congratulations once again. Some big shows coming up for you in a few months. New record coming out. So, dude, it's always good to talk to you, man. Congratulations.
If you're in New York, Chicago, or if you ever want to come out to a show,
yes,
we exchanged numbers last time.
Is it the same? Is it still the same one?
Mine is the same. If yours is the same, I don't know.
Let me just make sure that we got it here. Here we go. I'm actually going to text Daron whilst on the air. There it goes. My number might be different, so we got
it.
Perfect. We're locked in.
Well, maybe I'll come down and see you guys with AEW when you guys.
Anytime, man. Whatever you need.
I always wanted to hit you up on my auto. He probably
anytime. I would love to.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you soon, man. See you down the road.
All right, brother.